a united opposition or an opposition that is trying to remain united take on the Modi juggernaut? I'm Barkha Dutt here with the Mojo story. We're looking today at the big meeting of the India Alliance that is taking place in Maharashtra on a day when two other interesting news developments have taken place. One, the Adani Hindenburg case has returned to the headlines, while Rahul Gandhi is scheduled to address a press conference on this issue in a few moments from now and is using this to target the government. Is it really an electoral issue? The other interesting news development that has taken place is the government's mysterious decision, as yet unelaborated on, to call a special session of parliament, a 5-day special session later this month. It's leading to all kinds of rumors in Delhi, including journalists whispering about the possibility of an early election. Is that just rumor mongering? Why would the Modi government even need to call an early election when all polls suggest that the Narendra Modi government's popularity remains unchallenged? The Prime Minister's own popularity continues to be staggeringly high. All of this, as I said, on a day when the united opposition is trying to meet in a 2-day meeting that will look to hammer out not just a common minimum program, but also a common logo. Does any of this have any meaning? While they do not choose a candidate for the prime ministerial post, they do not choose their contender for who is the man or woman who will take on Narendra Modi. As we look at these very interesting sets of political developments, let's introduce our guests on the program today. We're joined first up by Aarti Jairaj. She's a senior journalist and columnist. It's great to have you back with us. Also joining us is Varun Singh, who's a political analyst and commentator. Welcome back to the program, Varun. Always a pleasure. Also joining us is Sugata Srinivas Raju, who's, of course, a very senior journalist, but also the author of a book on Rahul Gandhi, a very interesting book that I urge all of you to read. Also joining us is Dr. Manisha Priyam, who's, of course, one of our country's best known and most respected political analysts. And also, well, I was going to add our last guest, but I think we just lost him there, and we will be welcoming Bhanuchandra Nagarajan to the program very, very soon. Let me start with, of course, playing out what the BJP thinks of what's happening in Maharashtra. The BJP missing no opportunity to target the opposition's attempt to come together. Sambit Patra of the BJP today even borrowing language from the recent moon landing of Chandrayaan-3 to say this. Listen in.
एक और हम चंद्रयान है, हमारा प्रज्ञान रोवर भी निकला हुआ है, काम भी कर रहा है, विकास भी चल रहा है। और कांग्रेस पार्टी आपको बता दे, आपका मिसाइल लॉन्च नहीं होने वाला है, फ्यूल नहीं है। आपके मिसाइल में फ्यूल नहीं है। 2013 से 1000 कोशिश आप कर चुके हैं, खाट यात्रा, अमुक गठबंधन, तमुक गठबंधन, सब कुछ आपने कर लिया है कि आपका मिसाइल कैसे भी करके लॉन्च हो। ये आप घमंडिया गठबंधन करके आप सोच रहे हैं कि आपका मिसाइल लॉन्च हो जाएगा। नो, मिसाइल लॉन्च नहीं होगा, क्योंकि उस मिसाइल में फ्यूल नहीं है। हमारे चंद्रयान में विकास है, आपके मिसाइल में फ्यूल नहीं है। इसलिए देश की जनता जानती है कौन सा यान लैंड करेगा और कौन सी मिसाइल नहीं उड़ेगी। ये देश की जनता भली भांति जानती है।
आपके मिसाइल में फ्यूल नहीं है. Those colloquialisms are interesting, but of course the leaders of the opposition have their own. Lalu Prasad Yadav saying this about the opposition alliance.
इंडिया का मायने है कि हम लोग एकजुट होकर के देश की रक्षा के लिए, गरीबी, महंगाई, बेरोजगारी मिटाने के लिए, किसानों के माली हालत को चुस्त दुरुस्त करने, ठीक करने के लिए ये जो सरकार थी नरेंद्र मोदी की विफल हो चुकी है, फेल हो चुकी है। इसलिए हम लोग का फर्ज है कि देश की एकता को, अखंडता को, संविधान को, लोकतंत्र को मजबूत करने के लिए हम लोग को इकट्ठा होना है। अपने अपने युवकों को खुल जाना, फर्गो करना है और कॉमन कार्यक्रम बनाकर, प्रोग्राम बना करके और चुनाव में 1 to 1 हम लोग को जाना है।
All right. Before I get comments from our guest today, I should say that there was a poster war that led up to this meeting. The Congress, in fact, had to take down a poster where Rahul Gandhi was made the first among equals. This was a poster that the Congress social media handles then took down after it gave complete foregrounded prominence to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. The BJP pointed it out, and the Congress poster was deleted. This is what the new poster is, which is, of course, a much more equal presentation of all leaders. But the last 24 hours were also spent by different party spokespeople talking about how their leaders were the perfect fit for the top job. Let me also show you a very interesting poster that the BJP released on social media, likening the Prime Minister to a Terminator, saying 2024, I will be back. So, the fact is that election season is well and truly here. And as I said, it's come accompanied by two other news developments, the Adani Hindenburg issue, as well as a mystery session of Parliament, a 5-day special session that has been called. Let me bring in first comments. Let me actually start with you, Aarti. What do you make of both of these twin developments as we look at the united opposition? Adani Hindenburg returns. It's been a pet issue for Rahul Gandhi. But is it the new Rafale of this election season? An issue that the media pays a lot of attention to, an issue that, of course, raises legitimate questions, but an issue that fails to capture the wider imagination of the public? Or do you actually believe that the opposition is correct in seizing this as one of its key issues? Aarti Jairaj.
Bakha, I think the opposition is still in search of a good narrative to take on the Modi government. It has to be a narrative that is much closer to people's hearts than people's minds. The Adani issue really, matters to people who understand how stock markets are manipulated and so on. Even I don't quite follow, the finer details of the whole Adani thing. So, what to say of the common man. In any case, I think elections are fought really on emotive issues that are close to people's hearts. I don't think Adani is an emotive issue at all, unless the opposition can convert it into, something like he's taking away your farmland, or he's, taking away your land or something like that, which I don't think they can do. So yes, I think the opposition is in search of a narrative which they can use to fire the imagination. But let me tell you something. I think the BJP too is in search of a narrative. I really don't see any real, that kind of emotive narrative coming from the BJP side either. Most of their time goes in attacking India, in attacking the alliance, in attacking the opposition. And, I think they're protesting too much about, what the opposition is doing, rather than trying to, talk about something that they can really sell to the people as something that they will do. Some vision. Amrit Kal is a very, is a very amorphous kind of vision. They need to flesh that vision out much more so that people will feel, all right, this is what I will get if I vote for the Modi government and I put the Modi government back in power for a third term. So I think both sides are devoid of a narrative that would be really appealing, in the forthcoming elections. But, there are still 6 months, 8 months. Maybe they will come up with something in these next 6, 8 months.
You said that there are still 6 months, 8 months. Delhi is agog today with rumors of whether the Modi government might be tempted to do a Vajpayee and go in for an early election. I personally think this makes no sense at all. If you look at the sort of all the polls, they actually tell you that the Modi factor is still intact. It's basically untouched, and there's no threat, as it were, to a third term. At least the polls suggest that for the Modi government. Dr. Manisha Priyam, do you agree with Aarti that if the opposition doesn't have an emotive issue to tie it together, nor does the BJP would argue the Prime Minister, हमारे पास Modi है, that's enough. हमें narrative चाहिए ही नहीं. Our narrative is the personality. Our man is the message. Dr. Priyam?
I think the opposition and Mr. Modi and the BJP under him are fighting the elections on two different types of pitch. They're in fact fighting two different elections. The opposition is going to make it as local as possible, as close to issues as possible, as close to a class narrative as possible. the रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी, the daily life, so to say, and to point out how difficult it is for the large mass of, especially the rural population of India, that still lives a footloose life at best, but still largely rooted in agriculture. So I wouldn't look for them to look for an emotive issue, etc. I would see them very grounded on everyday issues, lack of performance, and somehow, blunting down the pitch of the corruption bit. So that particular piece of cake, that was clearly something that Mr. Modi was able to thump his chest and say, "Na khaunga, na khane dunga." That's going to be blunted. So the opposition is going to have a highly local, regional
And do
battles.
you and do you believe, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you because I have to cut across to Rahul Gandhi for just a couple of minutes because he's holding a press conference on the Adani issue. But before I do that, do you actually believe that the Adani issue could capture electoral imagination, or do you believe that it is too technical, as Aarti says?
It's going to be technical, and remember, always on big issues like that, the only time that they have become grand national narratives is when the BJP has actually been raising those anti-corruption issues. So how much does a Congress-led motley group of regional parties turn Adani into a national issue? I have my doubts, and I would agree with that.
Okay. Okay, so both Aarti and Dr. Manisha Priyam believe that you cannot go into election season making the Adani issue the centerpiece of your stick to beat the government with. But let's just cut across live before we come to Varun and Shugata and Banu, if he can join us to listen to what Rahul Gandhi is saying for a couple of minutes at least. Let's have the sound up on those pictures, please. We can't hear.
और दूसरा चैंग चुंग लिंग चाइना का है। तो दूसरा सवाल ये उठता है कि जब अदानी जी हिंदुस्तान का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खरीदे जा रहे हैं, तो ये जो चाइनीज नेशनल है, ये इसमें कैसे इन्वॉल्व है? इसका क्या रोल है? इसने क्या किया? ये साबित होना चाहिए। ये दूसरा सवाल। और ये जो फॉरेन नेशनल्स हैं, ये हिंदुस्तान की शेयर मार्केट को कैसे मैनिपुलेट कर रहे हैं? ये सवाल क्यों नहीं पूछा जा रहा है? नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का मामला है। अदानी जी डिफेंस में काम करते हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में काम करते हैं, एयरपोर्ट पोर्ट्स में काम करते हैं। तो ये जो दो फॉरेन नेशनल्स हैं, खासतौर ये जो चाइनीज आदमी है चैंग चुंग लिंग, इसका क्या रोल है? ये दूसरा सवाल। और तीसरा सवाल, जो सेबी का इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ था, जिसने क्लीन चिट दी, जिस व्यक्ति ने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया और जिसने क्लीन चिट दी, आज वो अदानी जी का जो चैनल है एनडीटीवी, उसका डायरेक्टर है। तो मतलब ये एक नेटवर्क है। इसमें आपको इंस्टीट्यूशनल कैप्चर दिख रहा है। सेबी का चेयरमैन क्लीन चिट देता है और उसके एकदम बाद अदानी जी की कंपनी में डायरेक्टर बन जाता है। इंटरनेशनल मामला है, स्टॉक मार्केट को इन्फ्लेट किया जा रहा है और उस इन्फ्लेट करने के बाद उससे हिंदुस्तान के एसेट्स खरीदे जा रहे हैं। तो सवाल ये उठता है, इसके बारे में प्रधानमंत्री कुछ क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? शांत क्यों है? यहां पे फॉरेन न्यूज़पेपर ने साफ कहा है, वेल्थी इंडियन फैमिली विद लिंक्स टू मोदी। मतलब अखबार कह रहा है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी का अदानी जी का रिश्ता है। सवाल उठता है, क्या रिश्ता है? और ये जो एजेंसीज हैं, सीबीआई है, ईडी है, ये अदानी जी पर रिसर्च क्यों नहीं कर रही हैं? ये अदानी जी को इंटेरोगेट क्यों नहीं कर रही हैं? ये सवाल उठता है। हिंदुस्तान का रेप्यूटेशन लाइन पे है। G20 हो रहा है, हम कहते हैं कि यहां पे लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड है, हिंदुस्तान ट्रांसपेरेंट है, यहां पे भ्रष्टाचार नहीं है। और उन सबके सामने जब वो यहां आ रहे हैं उनके सामने ये उदाहरण है। $1 बिलियन यहां से जा रहा है, स्टॉक प्राइस इन्फ्लेट की जा रही है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और एसेट्स खरीदे जा रहे हैं। जिसने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया उसको अदानी जी ने मतलब अपनी कंपनी में नौकरी दे दी। तो ये हिंदुस्तान की इमेज को डैमेज कर रहा है और इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री को एकदम एक्शन लेना चाहिए और कहना चाहिए कि हाँ, हम जेपीसी लागू करेंगे, जेपीसी इसको इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी और फुल स्केल इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा अदानी जी का। थैंक यू।
एक चिल्लाइए मत प्लीज, चिल्लाइए मत, मैं आऊंगा, चिल्लाइए मत। अरे संजीव, मैंने संजीव को बुलाया, प्लीज आपका टर्न आएगा।
All right. So Rahul Gandhi there, as I said, using the Adani Hindenburg headlines in the global press today to target not just the government, but also target New Delhi Television, my former organization, now owned in majority by Adani, questioning how the former SEBI director, former SEBI chief can now be its chairman. But we return now to the politics of what is actually unfolding. Shugata, let me bring you in. Aarti and Manisha say that the opposition might be missing a moment here. The Adani issue is too technical. It isn't going to touch the imagination of the wider public. Rahul Gandhi seems very focused on it. Is that going to take away from what they should actually be talking about? Common minimum program, common logo, who's the prime ministerial face, how to settle the sort of internal war? Or do you believe that some things are important in themselves, whether or not they yield electoral gains? Shugata.
Thank you, Barka. I just heard Rahul Gandhi mention, NDTV and Adani together. But, the most simple question to ask, he's in Mumbai, he should ask Sharad Pawar what he thinks of Adani. Because Adani, in an interview to NDTV sometime back, he did say that it was wrong to sort of, present Adani or any big industrialist in a fashion that he does. So that is point number one. Point number two is it important for the elections? See, I completely agree with what Aarti ji and Manisha ji were sort of speaking. It's a little difficult. See, it's an extremely important issue. Nobody can ever say that the Adani issue is not serious. It's a very, very important issue. And if you read what has appeared in today's Guardian and Observer, as well as the Financial Times in London, it is quite serious and it's quite alarming. So that has to be sort of stated very clearly. But how does one convert that into a political message is a very, very important question before Rahul Gandhi. See, Rahul Gandhi, from what we know from his past, electoral past, is he always likes to take these larger issues without looking at the nuts and bolts issues. You're right about the fact that he should have focused on the nuts and bolts issues in Mumbai with the alliance partners, and we really don't know if the alliance partners are with him on the Adani thing. If they were, then he should be sitting with Sharad Pawar and talking about it.
That's a very good point, that this should have been a joint. Imagine if this were a joint press conference of
Yes,
all the opposition leaders speaking
absolutely.
about the Adani issue. That's bang on. Varun, let me bring you in. I think Sugata also says that, look, this is a serious issue. Insider trading, market manipulation, these are grave allegations. Of course, Mr. Adani has dismissed them. He said these are Soros-funded agencies. All of that. This tutu meme will continue. The politics of it, and none of you have spoken yet about the special session of Parliament. Not one of us has any clue what this 5-day session is about, unless, Varun, you're going to tell us what it's about.
Even I don't know what exactly it is. I think it could be early elections, but I may be completely wrong. But, talking about the India Alliance meeting over here in Mumbai, simply right now, why I feel the opposition unity is a non-starter in terms of elections, because they do not have an agenda to put forth in front of a person like Narendra Modi, who the Pew Research yesterday came out, said he has 80% of popularity of the nation. And when you're fighting someone like Narendra Modi, who has a lot of things, and it wouldn't be wrong to say that the elections that happen in the country right now are presidential form of election. And when the opposition doesn't have a PM candidate, where everyone from the opposition party wants to be a PM, it looks very dull start for the India Alliance right now. And Rahul Gandhi himself, this Adani thing, I'm sure would cause a lot of heartburn amongst many opposition leaders, because many of the opposition leaders in their own state do have businesses with Adani and other business houses.
But let me pick up on your point about you think there might be early elections. Why would the Modi government need to convene early elections? Why? The numbers suggest a very comfortable popularity, whether it's the Pew survey, whether it's the Mood of the Nation India Today See Voter poll. In fact, we have those numbers here. Varun, why would the government need to call an early election?
So there are two things that I was also thinking about. The rains haven't been very good, and if we go to elections in the month of May, April, the drought might cause a major heartburn to BJP. And secondly, whatever said and done about Modi, in state elections, it is now clearly visible that Madhya Pradesh is not going the BJP way. And also Rajasthan, the way it was expected in BJP way, it might not happen. But probably if Modi charisma is used over here, they might have a better say over there. And if other smaller states also who have elections in the next 6 months or 1 year agree for elections during the Lok Sabha elections, I think it could set a stage for one nation, one election. But as I said, it is all hypothetical, too much of a thought over here being put on something that might not be there. We might just see a UCC being discussed over here or during the Amrit Kal session that is happening. It's for 5 days. But this is one thought and discussion that is happening in certain groups related to BJP and RSS, that these could be the reasons why early elections can be called.
Let me take this, and Varun, I'm going to ask you to reconnect because your audio has a lot of noise. But we picked up your point about how you think there is going to be an early election, and let me take that around the panel. Let's have a little bit of fun. None of us have any idea, but let's have a little bit of fun speculating anyway. Manisha, do you actually believe it would make any political sense? Varun spoke about the monsoons not having been great, not wanting to give any time to the India Alliance to maybe consolidate to get better. The assembly elections seeming to go against the BJP. The one nation, one election sort of model. Do you see any sort of logic in this?
No. None of what you said is a logic for any early election. We are already now headlong into the state elections for Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, the most important of the state elections that are coming up. In fact, the country is looking to the conclusion of these state elections. And soon after that, everybody knows we are in election mode for the national election. So if by December we have these 3 state results and the country is in the national election mode, if the elections are put ahead even by 2 months, that's not like calling an early election or anything like that. Early elections would have been if they had been done now, June, July, etc. That hasn't happened. And I think the Amrit Kal session that we haven't spoken about will be Mr. Modi trying to consolidate his message. Remember of the Chandrayaan, which is a very important achievement, the G20 and all his one-on-one achievements in the global arena. These are things nobody can deny him. To use his powers as a very effective communicator to try and put the din of the local issues, the local noise, all below the carpet so that Modi stands apart as the national leader. And I think that's how we will go into the national elections. The state elections can talk about regional issues, local issues, issues of poverty, but Mr. Modi will carve out, and that's what we need to see. What are the national issues for India? And that agenda setting has been done from the Red Fort, and that we will also wait to see happen in the monsoon elections. I don't see clearly a very early election, so to say, as a possibility now.
That's a very interesting idea that perhaps these 5 days would be all about everything that the Modi government wants to put on the national stage, the national narrative, as it were. And Aarti had referred earlier to the fact that other than the Prime Minister's personal popularity, the government also needs a narrative going into these elections. Banu, we've been having terrible problems with your network. If you can hear me and hoping that the line remains stable, just jump in with a comment on how you see everything that's happening. Banu.
Sure. Thanks, Berta. I don't see early elections at all for 2 simple reasons. One is the Ram Mandir is going to be inaugurated in January, and there's an opportunity to do an interim budget in February in which there are many programs or many payments that could be made, like the Krishi Samman Nidhi, and so on and so forth. So there are two important opportunities, and I don't think the government is going to back away from that. So there is absolutely no chance for early elections. But regarding the session that has been called, it might be one of the two things. One is the three criminal code, and the other evidence act and the other bills that the Home Minister has passed. Maybe they want to make it a big deal, as if they are like rejigging the whole colonial laws. Or the second more important or more interesting thing might be to begin a conversation on the UCC. The UCC, if you see, after the PM spoke, it has sort of calmed down a bit. Maybe like the BJP is trying to gather some support with the tribal groups, which were pretty opposed to it. So I think there might be some move on it. So, but you never can guess what Modi and Shah are thinking about. But we can definitely rule out early elections.
I think you made a great point that all of us had forgotten, which is the Ram Mandir inauguration in January. And Varun, to your point, as delicious as the speculation is of an early election, I think Banu is correct that the Modi government isn't going to miss that moment of that Mandir inauguration. So what is this 5 days going to be about? We don't know. Rahul Gandhi, in the meantime, all guns blazing on the Adani issue, which almost all of our panelists here agree is not an emotion. It's an important issue, but not a popular issue. Sometimes the two things are actually very different. Let's go now to the elephant in the room. Can this juggernaut take on Modi without a prime ministerial contender? Now, we have some very interesting sort of data points from the C voter survey. We also have our own poll, if we can also look at that a little later in the program. But who should lead this India alliance? That is the question that the C voter survey actually put in this Mood of the Nation India Today C voter survey. And Rahul Gandhi actually, not this one, please. Who should lead the India alliance? Rahul Gandhi actually tops that list, and there it is. 24% say Rahul Gandhi, 15% each for Mamta Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal. Sugata, firstly, let's ask the important question. Without a leader, without a personality, without a chosen, declared personality, can the opposition really be in a position to take on the popularity of the Modi government, of the Modi-led BJP? Shugata, despite the fact that all of the assembly elections, as somebody mentioned, seem to be not tilted in their favor. Shugata.
Bharka, there are a lot of secret contenders to the chair. And, Kharge and Gehlot in the recent past have named Rahul Gandhi. Although yes, Rahul Gandhi has not commented on the issue, these two very important players within the Congress have named him. But there is also another kind of thing happening in the media where people are saying probably Kharge is the secret weapon that the Congress wants to use. But then I feel that, playing that card of Kharge is going to be detrimental to the Congress because of a very complicated caste game that may unravel in the north of India as well as the south of India. So that's a very complicated thing. But can they actually go to the people without one leader there? Is the question that you asked me. See, but to be fair to them, they've always argued that India is a parliamentary system. And, it's only after the elections that the leader is decided by the MPs who have been elected and the alliance that has come to power. So they may sort of use that argument while jockeying, a lot of people. And if you look at the first Patna meet, it was almost decided that Nitish Kumar would be made the convener. I know for sure that the press release was ready. It was held back in the last minute. So the dynamics changed after the Patna meet. When Bangalore happened, the whole domination was that of the Congress party. Once Sonia Gandhi entered into the fray, she became the default chairman of the new alliance. Now, if she becomes the default chairman, then Nitish Kumar cannot be made the convener because, they will need somebody slightly junior. That is my reading. So Nitish Kumar has stated, 2 days back that he aspires for nothing, but while he secretly aspires to be the prime ministerial candidate. So there are a lot of secret, contenders who will keep jockeying, and because the alliance is so fragile, they may not want to put up a face, and certainly trusting Rahul Gandhi ahead, will make it very, very difficult for the alliance to survive.
Let me take this around the panel. Banu, do you want to just jump in before I go to Aarti, Manisha, and Varun on the need for a face? How important is it? Because as Dr. Priyam said, the opposition will want to localize this election. They do not want the presidential election. They want 543, assembly elections, as it were, or completely local elections. Banu, go ahead.
Yeah. So yesterday, the BJP Twitter handle put out a tweet with projecting Modi as the transformer, right? So the commentators on the other side would actually want all the India leaders to be sort of like Avengers, and like, so the May 24 elections will be like the Terminator was the Avenger and so on and so forth. But I think it's just not going to happen, because the leadership issue, as you're going to see, is getting murkier. In fact, to answer the previous question, Barka, when one of the people that actually wanted was floating around the issue of early elections was Mamata Banerjee. Maybe it was kind of an internal jostling to get something moving within the organization that has not happened so far. There are way too many contradictions within the India alliance. One being that there is no central anchor, right? So if the Congress party was strong, maybe it could actually bring in all of these people together. So if to take an investment parlance, you need an anchor investor for an investor region to develop, right? So you have an anchor investor, and like the other players will actually come and coalesce, right? So to get economies of scale and synergies and so on and so forth. But that is not happening with the Congress. The Congress itself is very weak, and they're also not showing the energy. So if I were the Congress, I would be actually going to all of these states and sort of like trying to negotiate and build up some momentum. That energy is absent. And thirdly, like even on issues, if you see, like if you actually take the US polls, right, you see it is in November of next year, right? But you see Vivek Ramaswamy and the other Republicans going out and putting together new ideas and like building a momentum and stuff like that, right? But that's completely absent in the Congress. So there is lack of energy and lack of motivation, and it seems like they just want to cobble together an alliance which doesn't look great. And also, like one quick thing, I don't want to go into the arithmetic of it, but agreeing to the alliance, Congress is sort of like resigning to the fact that you're going to be a two-digit party. Because I'll tell you why. Just give me 30 seconds. Because if you I'm not going to go into the details of the numbers. If you take the big states, say for example, say UP or Gujarat or Orissa or Telangana, they're almost absent. We can actually rule out, except for 1 or 2 seats, you can actually rule them out. So if you take those 170 out of 540, you basically get like 370, right? And assume you get like even 50% of that in the bargaining, right? You get like less than 200, and even if you get a very generous strike rate of 50%, which is very hard, you still like are going to get less than 100. So this is not apparent right now, but I think it is going to come up at some point. If this is the sort of projection, the confidence that the Congress is projecting, I think the other political parties are going to like catch it. So the best bet for the Congress is to sort of do what is happening in Tamil Nadu, because I think they have a very synergized alliance. Though they get a very small number of seats, I think the DMK and the Congress they are hand in glove. You don't get that in there. Sorry.
I'm not sure. No, I was just going to say, I'm not sure everybody will subscribe to your opinion of Vivek Ramaswamy as much as he's shaking up the scene in America. There are a lot of people with very strong opinions against him, but that notwithstanding Vivek Ramaswamy, I think the point you're making is an interesting one. Who's the face? Where's the face? By localizing, you're actually harming yourself in the long run. Aarti, Rahul Gandhi thought that for a long time, right? There was a time when he just wanted the Congress, in the interest of rebuilding the party, to be the larger ally to fight more number of seats, and now they can't afford the long-term project, right? I think that's the thinking in the opposition. But they have clearly, or they seem to have decided to not have a face, to not have a leader. Even choosing a convener, as was mentioned, is proving to be difficult. How much is that going to hurt them, Aarti?
So, I mean, clearly elections have become much more presidential. And, again, I think, in the upcoming state assembly elections, one of the BJP's biggest handicaps is that they don't have a face, against, say, Baghel in Chhattisgarh. They don't have a face against Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan. And in Madhya Pradesh, they have a tired face, somebody who's been around for 4 terms. So yes, I think faces are important, but Barkha, every election produces a different dynamic. That's what I've noticed over the years. I don't think we can, go back to a previous election and superimpose that election on the forthcoming election and say that this is how it's going to pan out, because every election produces a different dynamic. And I think, this election will really be about how much people are invested in Narendra Modi to give him a third term, or whether they feel that all the sort of talk that is swirling about rising prices, about unemployment, joblessness, farmers' distress, whether all this is really hurting the people somewhere, and therefore they would like to see something new, something different. It doesn't matter if there's a face, but they don't want these guys back again. That is roughly what happened in, I mean, again, I'm going back in history, but that is roughly what happened in 1977, when you had this very hastily cobbled together alliance called the Janata Party on the eve of the election without a face, nothing. And on the other side, you had this very powerful leader called Indira Gandhi. But I think people just wanted her out. And so they were ready to vote for
But
something
there's
as,
there is no evidence, no visible evidence
absolutely, there's no
of any
evidence right now,
anti-incumbency at all.
nothing right now. But this is what we have to monitor over the next 6 months as campaigning picks up, as we get closer to the elections, as people start focusing on issues, which is what the opposition would like to do. I mean, I agree with Manisha that I think the opposition would like to make it as grounded as possible, as local as possible. So, as these issues start getting highlighted, are they going to hit home with people? Are people going to actually look at their lives and say, yes,
Yeah.
all this talk of development and G20 and landing on the
Yeah.
moon, has it made a difference to my life?
I
And
think
then,
Shugata, I think
they
Shugata
are
is
going
going
to
to,
take,
yeah.
and then they will take a decision on where they want to cast their vote. Remember, the BJP has its committed voters and the opposition has its committed anti-BJP voters. It's the guys in between that we're looking at who
Absolutely,
will swing
absolutely.
the election.
Let me bring in Sugata Varun and then we'll give the closing word to Dr. Priyam. Sugata, you wanted to come in. Yes, go ahead. Can
As
we
well
unmute
as
Sugata? Yeah, go ahead, Sugata,
yeah,
again. Yeah.
Dr. Priyam as well as Varun. I mean, I think Bhanu spoke about localizing the elections. Once that happens, if that is the path that the India Alliance is going to take, then it will be at the cost to the Congress party. It's a very simple calculation. See, if you are going to fight, make it, I mean, those many assembly elections collectively put together to, get the majority, then the Congress will have to fight less than 416 or 422 seats that they fought last time and concede far more to the opposition, I mean, regional parties, which are in a better position to fight the BJP. But if that happens, the 19.5% vote share that the Congress has now will be further reduced and its existence becomes an issue. So it is a catch-22 situation for the Congress to be part of the India alliance itself. So now that is the reason why you see that the Congress spin masters are trying to project Rahul Gandhi as a kind of moral, figure. People were asking, where is the moral figure to hold together the entire alliance? After the Bharat Jodo Yatra, Rahul Gandhi is being projected as
So,
that
so, so,
moral
so, so,
figure.
so, so Rahul Gandhi wants to be the JP. What Jayaprakash
Ha,
Narayan was, Rahul
no,
Gandhi wants to be the JP of this
no,
moment.
in the sense, I'm not sure whether he wants to be a JP, but then there is, if you're looking for a moral figure to hold everything
Yes.
together, then the Congress, I'm not saying that everybody is looking at it that way, then the Congress says that after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, Rahul Gandhi
Understood.
has a moral currency which nobody else has. Certainly not Lallu, certainly not Nitish, who has jumped boat many times, and not Sharad Pawar, definitely. So who else is left? So the
Yeah.
question is, so Rahul Gandhi is making it a moral battle against Modi.
I understand, and I do think that is Mr. Gandhi's positioning. But if it doesn't translate, you see, Rahul Gandhi once famously said, and you've just written a whole book on him. He spoke of power being poison. Now you cannot be in the pursuit of power and also abhor it. It is his central paradox, and I know your book Strange Burdens talks about that. Varun, very quickly, Varun and Bhanu, let's get a thought each in from you, and let's give the last word to Dr. Priyam. Varun. Yeah, Varun.
Barkha, if you can hear me. So
yes.
I don't think Rahul wants to be the JP. Rahul doesn't want to be JP, but Congress surely wants him to become Morarji. And this whole thing, this whole fiasco that has begun of finding a face for the India alliance is because Congress has walked into its own trap. Had they not released the picture yesterday of Rahul and the Trayaka, I don't think other political parties would have come out with statements like they want their person as the PM. So the entire fault of today, while you may not want to have a presidential form of election, but the entire blame lies with the Congress for posting that picture and then deleting it and furthering the cause of giving doubt amongst most of the political parties, because these political parties are fighting for their basic existence in the local level. Their competition for all these years have been Congress, and today if they accept Congress's Congress's power as Congress as the leader, they will have a lot of trouble when they go for state elections later. So they would want a sort of balance in between. Maybe not Rahul Gandhi, or maybe and Kharge. To be honest, if they project Kharge, well and good for the BJP, but Kharge has been the dark horse for everything that has been happening in the last 2 years in Congress, so you never know. But I don't see the India alliance staying together if Rahul Gandhi or any one person from Congress is made as the
they are in a catch-22. I think we all agree with that. Bhanu, very quickly, I do need to give the last word to Dr. Priyam, and Aarti, if you have a thought too, feel free to jump in. Bhanu, quick last thoughts.
So one quick thing we need to remember, Barkha, when talking about leadership is that India has become aspirational. Is India ready for a leader from, say, Bihar or Bengal, which have not been aspirational enough? So that's something that we need to think about. And also, there are way too many internal contradictions already, right? So Mayawati did not attend. In Bengal, they're actually fighting for the same vote bank. And in Bihar, there are three players. So I think there are way too many contradictions. And also, they are against the mightiest, right? For example, even today, they announced the new special session of Parliament when the India Alliance is meeting, right? So they actually took away the evening headlines away from them. So I think that we need to know that they are against a very formidable alliance.
I mean, the BJP is crafty, politically crafty enough to have actually timed that announcement to the very India Alliance meeting. Dr. Priyam, before you give the last word, we did also ask the Mojo Story viewers. Again, this is not a scientific poll; it's just an online poll, and it might well reflect the ideological affiliations of our viewers. Who should lead the India Alliance? And Rahul Gandhi, of course, tops the list, followed closely by Mallikarjun Kharge, 9% each for Arvind Kejriwal and Mamata Banerjee. Somewhat different from the Mood of the Nation India Today See Voter poll, which gave Rahul Gandhi the lead, but had a greater percentage for Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal. But I think we all agree they're not probably going to pick a leader ahead of the polls, or do you think they might, Dr. Priyam? Sorry, Aarti. Aarti wants to. Aarti, you want to say
before you give Manisha the last word, I just want to make one quick point. One thing we have not mentioned through this entire discussion is the reason why India has actually been formed. And I think, that is really at the heart of this battle. Whatever the pulls, whatever the pressures, whatever may happen, all these guys have come together because they are battling for survival. And they know their survival depends on being able to challenge Modi and bring down the BJP's numbers. Otherwise, there will be no opposition after Modi comes back for a third term. So I think, everything gets put aside when they think of that. That is the main motivation.
I find it very intriguing what you said in the end. Bring down Modi's numbers. It's almost as if the aim of 2024, Dr. Manisha Priyam, is not to defeat BJP, but to at least weaken it, at least contain it. Maybe that's the better word, to contain the rise, to bring it down a little, to give it a few little needles in its, little thorns, little pinpricks in its side. Dr. Priyam, last word.
So the last word really is also responding to an earlier co-panelist. Remember, states like Bihar are not deficit in aspirations. They are entrenched in poverty of a kind that a very globalized India does not imagine and does not understand. Remember, there's something called a caste census, which their own High Court has upheld. I was in the fields there, and almost everybody came up to say that let the results of the caste census survey come out, and then you will understand what we are trying to say. So there is an India there, the rupee economy India, borrowing from Anirudh Krishna, and here we are trying to present the facets of Indian elections as if we belong to the dollar economy and roping in a Vivek Ramaswamy to compare ourselves. Remember, the core of it is that if in these elections, even this government, along with the Chandrayaan and G20, ends up giving transfers like Lula did through Bolsa Familia or Bolsa Foam or Bolsa Gas, if that's what the Modi government has to do, then we have to understand the rupee India, the troubled India, the footloose India and circular India that you think is not aspirational enough. Remember, poor people aspire, but they can never be there. And that's what this election is about. If the opposition can come closer to that narrative of the poorer most, then they have something there. But if Mr. Rahul Gandhi is going to come up and talk in the language that he did about the Adani report, which none of the poor people understand, bringing in a Chinese whose name by the end of the show, I have now forgotten, then it's not going to be good communication with the kind of electioneering that the India Alliance could possibly do. At the moment, they are fighting for a hypothesis. Let's see what the real election is going to be like.
That is a fascinating line. Are you going to compete for the dollar India or the rupee India? I will, however, just sort of say in the end that the Modi government is very cognizant of the Bharat, of the rupee India, and welfareism is very much the heart of one of the sort of frameworks of Modi's electoral approach. But it is going to be very, very interesting to see what happens next. Thank you very much. What a delightful panel, to Banu, to Aarti, to Varun, to Sugata, and to Dr. Manisha Priyam. Thank you so much, and to our audience. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.